Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Already the final segment of today's program. Jack Melton, he's always starting something, and recently has been starting some growth for his outstanding company, which I'd like you to go ahead and start off by reminding us exactly what North American Solutions is all about.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Doing great. Glad to have you on.
Thank you. Well, we provide property casualty insurance and risk management services for public entities.
Yeah, and big emphasis on education institutions.
Right. Work with a lot of medium to large school districts, junior colleges, in most of the southern part of the United States right now.
Yeah, is your largest footprint in Texas?
It is.
But you're expanding fairly aggressively in Florida. What other states are on your radar screen?
Yeah, we're looking at Georgia and pretty much the middle eastern part of the United States right now is a good focus over the next 12 months.
And by the way, make sure you give your website real quick.
NASrisk.com. Let
me ask you, are southern states on your radar screen because they're just better places for doing business? What comes to mind when you look at a state?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's usually it comes on the heels of our relationships, and it just by luck or chance, a lot of them are doing business in those other states right now, and they want to take our business model where they've had success in Texas, Louisiana, and just expand it geographically.
Does political or legal environments play a role much or not much?
It does. That's a huge part of the culture study when we go into a state is really understanding the legal environment for not only insurance but for the public entities themselves and how those usually work together, what the judicial climate is, and it varies, as you can imagine, from state to state.
Yeah, I tell you, it's interesting. Like Minnesota, I'm amazed. Like a state like Minnesota has any kind of insurance companies. I mean, some of these states make it so difficult, and it's supposed to be all about protecting the consumer, but as a result, people are paying through the nose because there's such a lack of competition because companies aren't willing to go in there. Not to mention liability requirements that they put on those companies.
That's right. Texas and Louisiana, for example, it's like dealing with two different countries.
Yeah.
They're just dramatically different. And Florida is kind of a hybrid of Texas, Louisiana, so it's interesting what you run into.
Yeah, no question about it. Talk a little bit about how your expansion is going.
Well, it's going good. These are long-term plays, usually kind of a 2 to 4 year play, and getting all the players in place. Culture is our number one objective to make sure the people we're working with are they're professional, they have integrity, they have a good reputation, and they're not going to get you in trouble from a branding standpoint. And once we have that in place, you start working through the legal, the details, and it's like I said, about 3 years is what it takes from start to finish to get a program going.
Yeah, and so your business is really kind of like playing chess versus checkers.
Exactly, got to be very strategic.
Talk about the biggest challenges that a company like yours that you feel like faces on an annual basis.
With us, I think with most companies, it comes down to people that you do business with, and we probably go overboard on that. Really making sure we understand what we're getting into, but at the end of the day, we are a service industry. Clients are buying our expertise and peace of mind and a trusting relationship. So it does come down to the people as our greatest asset. So that is the challenge, finding companies and people that have a culture that align with yours.
Now, you've been involved with the company for how many years?
24 years.
Yeah, but who's counting?
Yeah.
And you've been the CEO for how many years?
For about 9 years.
9 years. And so talk a little bit in almost a decade what it's like from a political and legal perspective to do what you do now versus 10 years ago.
I think there's a lot more regulation. There's a lot more fear and mistrust in the system as a rule. And so customers are wary, and as they should be. I'd say the regulation is definitely probably the biggest visible change.
Mm-hmm. And in your organization, how many employees do you have?
We've got 2,500 total, and then we have in our division where we focus on property and casualty, we have 12 that focus on Texas, Louisiana, and we're hiring 2 new ones this year.
And most of those, I'm assuming, are going to be account executives, those type of people who are actually involved with the selling of your product.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, one's an account executive, and another one is an assistant underwriter. We underwrite many of the programs that we offer as well.
Yeah, it's really crucial. Good companies are really big on meticulous underwriting in order to, that's really how that's how firms can provide the most competitive pricing, isn't it?
That's right, exactly.
And so that has to be done on a very thorough basis. So let me ask you, in terms of attitudinally, because I know, obviously you don't work in a vacuum. You work a lot with other companies and a lot of others, in the insurance field and tell me what the attitude is or the sentiment is about the economy in 2016 that you see as a business owner.
I'm actually seeing a lot of optimism out there. It is a competitive environment, but I think I'm seeing a lot of companies raise their game. Competition will tend to do that. But I would say the feeling's optimistic when you get on the ground and talk with the people that are working in these companies. I think it's a lot different than what I see on the nightly news. It seems to be a little more pessimistic. But what I'm seeing, in multiple states and multiple cities and people of varying roles, I'm seeing optimism.
Yeah, we need optimism, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me what you think of the overall trend. What would you say is buoying that optimism?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. In my industry, I don't know. It's attitude has a lot to do with it. We just haven't seen a huge downturn in our industry. I think insurance, for the most part, is recession-proof compared to a lot of other industries, and so you probably see a higher than average optimism attitude in our industry.
Yeah, I would think so. I think the mitigation business is exploding. Mm-hmm. The risks are higher. Public attitudes of responsibility, for companies to prevent bad things from happening is higher than ever, and so it's kind of a good time for a company like yours.
It is, and the capital market's driving a lot of that. With investment returns not being as strong as they have been for the last several years, you're finding a lot of that new capital coming into the insurance industry. They see that as a pretty good vehicle for growth going forward. So that capital obviously provides a lot more competition, which is good for the clients. Clients are seeing rate decreases in this environment.
I know a lot of great companies like yours, look at things on a quarterly basis. We just closed the first quarter, or we're in the process of closing the first quarter of 2016. What do you see as some of your big benchmarks for the next quarter, for quarter two?
Well, we're for the first quarter we're up 10%, which is we were anticipating 6%, so we beat the budget, and I see that trend continuing for the rest of this year and maybe slightly higher. So it's already better than I expected.
Yeah, very good stuff. I appreciate you being with us. NASRisk.com, Jack Melton and North American Solutions. And thanks so much for being with us. Great job as always.
Thank you, Kevin.
North American Solutions. Make sure you check them out, NAS Risk. And when we come back tomorrow, more for you. And you've been listening to The Price of Business.